This week, we're diving headfirst into glitter, heartbreak, and the origin of love. It's Hedwig and the Angry Inch, the 2001 cult rock musical that blew the wigs off indie cinema and redefined gender-bending storytelling. Grab your platform boots and your feelings. This one hits all of the notes. To the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies of the late 90s and early 2000s. And this month, we're closing out Pride Month with the groundbreaking cult classic that's part musical, part punk rock opera, and all heart, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here are a few ways that you can.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We've got plenty more deep dives into your favorite Y2K movies coming up.
And if you love the podcast, help us out by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Your reviews help us grow and keep the nostalgia alive.
And if you want to show off your love for nostalgia, check out our No More Late Fees merch at nomorelatefees.redbubble.com. From movie-inspired designs to podcast swag, we've got something for every movie lover.
And we are so excited to have our dear friend Timmy joining us in our Pride Month celebration. Welcome back, Timmy.
Hey.
Thanks for having me, guys.
If you want to get to know Timmy better, check out our Spice World episode and its bonus episode. Plus, you can check out this week's episode as we play Sachet or Shantae. All right, Jackie, what is Hedwig about?
Hedwig and the Angry Inch is based on the stage musical of the same name. The film follows Hedwig, a genderqueer East German rock singer who tells her story of love, loss, and identity across a glam-infused musical landscape. Part concert film, part emotional journey, it explores themes of gender, queerness, and finding wholeness. It stars John Cameron, Miriam Shore, and Michael Pitt. It was written and directed by John Cameron Mitchell, and it was based on Hedwig and the Angry Inch by Stephen Trask and John Cameron Mitchell. You can currently rent it on Amazon. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So, you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best, would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
Trash. Straight up trash.
All right, Timmy, we start with you.
I think back then I would have given it 5-day rental.
Okay. Jackie?
So this is my first time watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen it. I had heard about it when it came out by my mom. She was very excited that it came out and she got to see it, but I never sat down and watched it with her.
Same. I've never seen it. I remember seeing the cover, and I don't know if I grasped what it was. Like, I just was like, I think I want to see that, but I never went back.
Yeah. And in 2015, I did a whirlwind Broadway tour of New York City, and I saw 6 shows in 3 days. And Hedwig was one of those shows, and I found the pictures I took outside of the theater, and Taye Diggs was Hedwig when I saw it. So that was very exciting for me.
I think when we did The Grudge, our guest from Every Movie Ever podcast, they raved about loving this movie.
Yeah.
So I remember, I'm like, oh, okay. I got to remember what the guys said. All right, let's get into box office. So the budget for this movie was $6 million and the worldwide gross was $3.6 million. Interestingly enough, just like when we talked about the movie Glitter, unfortunately, the September 11 attacks definitely hurt the box office for this film. So it was expanded through September because of September 11, But shortly after the attacks, theaters offered free tickets to moviegoers. Although many people did see the film, the free entry meant that Hedwig did not make any money upon its release. So I
Oh,
think that really hit it. Mitchell had been approached during the off-Broadway run of the musical with an offer to adapt Hedwig into a film. He developed parts of the script at the Sundance Film Labs, notably the trailer scene with Tommy Speck. Later, the film was entered into the Sundance Film Festival. And Little Raj gave this movie 3 out of 4 stars,
nice.
stating the movie may have had a limited budget, but the screen is usually filled with something sensational, including a trailer home that transforms itself in an instant into a stage. And Kevin Maynard from Mr. Showbiz wrote that the film stomps the summer movie competition with heart and humor.
I love that. Well, before we get into the cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
Hey everybody, I'm Joe Welke.
And I'm Vance.
And we're the hosts of Boys Watching Buffy, a podcast where we watch cult classic TV shows for the first time ever and break down each episode.
We've reviewed Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Firefly, and despite the name of the podcast, we're currently reviewing Veronica Mars and Dollhouse.
So check out our episodes every Tuesday on all podcasting platforms.
So, cast and crew: Stephen Trask, who wrote the songs and score for the film, also provides the singing voice for Tommy.
Maggie Moore, who played the woman singing Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You, played the role of Yitzhak in the stage version of Hedwig after Miriam Shore left the role. Oh, that's cute. I didn't know that.
I like that.
Which, by the way, it was interesting because I knew Miriam Shore was like a Broadway legend, but I think like the first thing I really recognized her for was when I watched the show Younger.
Yes.
Which, if you watch that show, there are so many Broadway stars that go in and out as like guests, and even the whole cast. Like they did an episode where it's her, Hilary Duff, and oh gosh, what's the lead lady's name?
Sutton Foster.
Sutton Foster. They all go to this piano bar and sing, and I'm just like, oh, I'm dying right now. Loving this. But she has an amazing voice. So when I saw her in this, I was like, oh wow, I had no idea she was in this.
I hadn't either. Tim, did you see this on Broadway?
No.
No? Okay. Oh, what Broadway must have been like in like the late 90s.
Well, much better than the early 90s where you'd be able to catch a prostitute on any corner and down on 42nd Street. I'll tell you that.
Fair. The writer, director, and first star of Hedwig, John Cameron Mitchell, met composer Stephen Trask on a plane. They were the only two people not watching the in-flight film. Trask used the Rainer Werner Fassbinder biography he was reading as a conversation starter.
Oh, nice. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so because it is a musical, a lot of the story is told through song, and it has a very interesting approach, especially knowing that it came from Broadway, where they had like limited stage and setting options and stuff, and the limited budget. And so they really maximized every piece that you see in this film. And it's such a juxtaposition to Rent, which was like this huge budget, like major director, very shiny. This one's more like gritty and feels like you're like immersed in this world.
Which I think is perfect because
Yes.
just like the themes and the tones of this musical, it would have made sense. I still think Rent was way too glitzy for what the actual musical is, but I get it. You know, one is way more palatable, I guess you could say, to studio heads.
Yeah.
But I was actually quite like the amount of creative control And even the amount of money, when I saw the budget, I was actually happily surprised that they were able to do that. It just sucks again. The time that it came out really hurt it because it's an indie cult classic, I think. And it got there on DVD and VHS, but like it, I could have seen it more as like a getting nominations for different like Academy Awards, that kind of stuff. Because it's an art house
Absolutely.
film. That's what it feels like. Which
Definitely.
which meant that I was confused a lot. Not gonna lie. I was like, wait.
I
I
was watching this and thinking that, like, this is the way movies used to be, where there's still always that, like, I wonder what this symbolizes. And I don't really feel like they do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, watch Sinners. That has a lot of symbolism. It's crazy. I feel like I need a college course to just dig back all the layers on that one.
That stuff
Didn't
I
expect that.
face, like, no subtle.
so the film begins. We see Hedwig, and she's always performing at these really small venues. Like the first one, I think, is like a seafood restaurant. And then, like, there's just people eating. I don't think they even really want live entertainment.
No, it's so it like I'm shocked that you're in middle America
Mhm.
and they're allowing her to perform. Like she she stands on tables while people are eating. She's the songs,
Car wash.
the car
The
like
car wash.
it was like, wow, I'm surprised that people didn't complain about this and she just kept going with it. Also, I was just like, so you guys are following what's his face's tour this whole time?
Yep. That's why she has Aunt Vula as her
Yes.
publicist.
Andrea Martin, I did leave her name off and I did realize, yeah, she's hilarious in this movie.
And she just keeps saying, like, don't stalk him. Don't like we or like essentially she's like, we just have to keep that you're stalking him on the DL.
Right.
Like we can't call attention to it. So you can't interact with him.
What I thought, like, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but what I didn't understand was why was it so hard to prove that she had a relationship with Tommy and that, like, people saw her perform a lot of these songs beforehand. So could they not get people to say, like, hey, yeah, I saw them together. They've been together, you know?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was like Tommy's PR team that was like scrubbing stuff essentially. And so it was really hard to find like that concrete evidence because we didn't live in a world of everyone has
Camera and stuff, yeah.
yeah. So just trying to find that concrete evidence to be like, no, she wrote these songs.
Yeah.
She named him, she gave him his image.
I also want to know what is the age gap between Hedwig and
Yeah.
Tommy because that did feel like Tommy seemed very young and we know Hedwig was not younger than
Yeah.
him or this like the math wasn't mathing on that one.
I kind of felt like on the rewatch, it was a commentary. And like, this is why, like, there's some people that'll just like every movie they watch is a one and done. And I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't know how you can do that because, like, especially even going to like Broadway, like, I need to see something a couple of times to like get all of the layers out of it. And I also have that ADHD thing where I'm like, I know I saw it, I know I liked it, I can't remember a damn thing about it.
Right.
Like, so I felt like it was almost because Hedwig, it so background is Hedwig grew up in post-war Eastern Germany. The Berlin Wall is up, and so and then his dad is kicked out of their house. I don't speak German. It was some kind of inappropriate porn, I'm assuming that the mom caught him with, but I can't I didn't know anything beyond that.
I took that as that he actually was touching him because he in
Oh,
his song he talks about the many people in his life that have touched him. And
got it.
obviously that's a play on words, like, touched him in his soul, but also physically touched him.
Hmm.
And the way that they had the dad in the bed and the mom catching him, like that was to me that he was molested by his father.
I totally with Danielle here. It's when he unrolled his diary, the toilet paper. He was saying, "I've been touched by so many people," or maybe he said men, and he's like, "The first one, my father," and it was it was definitely heavily alluding to that.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Just his mom was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, at least she protected him when she found out.
Yeah. But I felt like on the this rewatch, especially with my emotional support captions on, I was like, oh, like, especially with the character of Tommy, it's like, this is what Hedwig knows is being groomed by older men. And so I felt like Tommy was probably on the younger side, and Hedwig was kind of unintentional, like unknowingly do not what was done to him, because obviously he was a young child when his father was molesting him. But it was kind of like what he knew. Oh, you find a younger kid and you kind of make them what you want them to be, type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about if he was unknowingly doing it. Like, he was old enough to know that you probably shouldn't, but he still, it is what it is. He did it. Yeah, like, there was an age gap. And also, you've got Tommy, who is extremely far Christian, right? Propaganda, indoctrination situation going on. So, that repression of wanting to, like, be, loving music, wanting to be outside of that, finding that kind of kindred spirit with Hedwig, and also just that touch line that Hedwig has lived. He's been out well, she's been out in the
Hmm.
world, and he's very naive, you know. What he did wasn't right, but also he's a kid, and
Yeah,
you know, so it's very complex.
it is.
Clearly Hedwig needs fucking therapy.
Yes.
Let's not lie.
Yeah. So to go back to that opening scene, she performs Tear Me Down, which is essentially a metaphor comparing herself to the Berlin Wall, like broken but still standing type thing. And then we also get really interesting graphics in certain scenes, kind of depicting what Hedwig is kind of singing about. And then we get Hedwig's origin story. His mom made him play in the oven, and so that's where his world was.
Wild. Wild. The only oven my mom let me play with was my
Easy bake oven.
easy bake oven. Not put my head in an oven and play in there. Like,
Which
I know th
is so wild, just from a storytelling standpoint, is like what happened during the Holocaust. And this is pretty soon post-war. I mean, they were only a couple decades off. To put a kid in an oven, I was just,
yeah. And well, his and Hansel, right? Like,
yes,
so the candy, the oven, like it's all weaving a story for sure. But I
definitely.
think the thing that really hit me about his mom was when he was watching a cartoon about Jesus, and she said that it's better to not have power because power corrupts absolute.
Yep.
It's better to kind of, I don't want to say be weak, but not to have power. So when everyone was dying to go to West Germany, she put him in a wheelbarrow and said, "We're going to East Germany." Like, it was a choice. I was just like, this is a lot.
Hedwig Senior, she made a lot of choices.
Choices is correct. And I also think it's there. I love the animation. I
Hmm.
love the animation piece where you're seeing man and woman together literally like stitched together. And I love the idea of the duality that I don't believe everyone is just you're male, you're female. I think everyone, like again, it's a spectrum. So him being able to, sorry, she being able to depict that
Yeah.
was in that animation was quite interesting. Like just being able to watch it, seeing it split apart, and then her trying to find that missing part of her outside of herself in a partner and
Yes.
wondering if that's what the missing pieces are. And then again, that being an analogy for the missing pieces of her actual body.
Yes.
So that part was really cool. The animation was able to tell a lot of the things that you couldn't really do in a movie aspect, but
Hmm.
also I could see on a stage musical it being more of like a monologue kind of thing. So I felt like that was a great companion piece to carry the story along.
Definitely. So we see Hansel meeting Luther, who is an American soldier. Luther promises to marry him and take him to the US, but he has to pass as a woman. And what is the title of the song?
I don't know what the title of the
Sugar
song
Daddy?
is. Sugar Daddy, yes.
Yeah.
But this fucking scene, wild, wild. And I need explanation because Hedwig, what do you mean you were laying naked on rubble and this black GI man comes and offers you gummy bear? Like I was like, what's happening?
Oh, I thought the gummy bears represented because he said it tasted different than any German candy he had had.
Oh, was
So
it
I thought it was a metaphor for
giving
penis.
head?
Yeah.
Oh, that explains a lot.
And
But
that's why
like
he was calling him his sugar daddy, and he kept getting that candy from him.
I thought it was a metaphor for drugs. I thought it was, I did not see penis. And then, okay, then explain this. So he's leaving a trail of penis, but it's candy. I don't know
Well,
what's
you know how
happening there.
people get dickmatized?
Facts.
Hansel was dickmatized by Luther.
So Luther sees Hansel laying naked, butt up, like you it and he goes, "You're a beautiful woman." And then Hansel turns over to expose that he is not a woman. And then it's just like, well, I'm cool with that too. Let's do like it was I was like, it was a very interesting way to tell that story
Hmm.
because I'm like, what's going on? Why are you naked on this rubble? And where are the gummy bears? First of all, I want to know where those gummy bears are because they look kind of good. Not gonna lie. I don't know. What did you think, Timmy?
So as I said earlier, I'm not very good with subtlety. So Jackie picked up on a lot more of the kind of the specifics than I think I did. I definitely wasn't like blind to the fact that it was like this tasted it much different than anything I'd tasted in Germany. I was like, oh, I didn't really catch on, but now I agree. It was kind of an interesting way to portray that scene, and also a little like you're mixed emotions. You're kind of like, look at this predator.
Yes.
Advantage of this boy, but at the same time, the boy was definitely going to take advantage of the situation to his own, attain his own ends. So
Yes.
I just think I can't even imagine. I'm coming home with this army guy after the trauma of what my like, and also I do look at the parallels that the guy that you are with is also in the armed forces like your dad and also abandons you like your dad, like daddy issues all day.
Yeah.
But to come home to your mom and be like, yeah, he wants to marry me. I'm out this bitch. And your mom's like, cool, let me get my passport. Let me doctor up a few things and let's go. And then your new man's talking about, well, I have to marry you here. And in order to do that, you have to be examined. And your mom's like, well, sometimes you just gotta give a piece up of yourself to get what you want. And I'm just like,
Well, you have to like think that she has been through the war.
yeah,
Like she experienced the war. And like I know I've in Berlin, I've been to Checkpoint Charlie where they show like the crazy ass shit that people had to do to try and get
across. Yeah,
across the wall and stuff. And just I think she experienced so much that she just became a survivor. Anything to survive, anything to get out of our lot in life type
right.
thing is like what we have to do. And if that's you have to pass as a woman to get to America, then let's go, baby. We're gonna make
When
this happen.
when she describes what happened with her botched surgery, the one thing I can say about this movie, it is extremely gut-wrenchingly sad.
Yes.
It
Agreed.
was it was not an easy watch. You could lace it up with all the music you want, but the points that are brought up in this is just painful. You know,
Yeah.
this is a person who's lived a very painful life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm,
And then
Yeah.
it's peppered in with like these really like crazy humor moments, like when he gets or when she gets the postcard from her mom, like in like Yugoslavia. It's like greetings from Yugoslavia, and she's like on the beach, and it's like in the middle of like I've just gone through this like botched surgery. My my
Trailer park, my husband's leaving me for
exactly.
another person.
Yeah, another young guy like and now I have like the, my anatomy's messed up, so like just even being able to explore other relationships, it's going to be monumentally difficult because of that aspect. And like it's just yeah, Hedwig has been through so much.
Yeah. I would have loved to see how Hedwig met the rest of the band,
Hmm.
you know, like how she found her family.
Because what is the husband's name? Yitzhak?
Mhm.
Yeah. So Yitzhak, I read it doesn't for all of the storytelling in this movie, it does not tell the story of how Hedwig and Yitzhak came to be married. Because
Yeah.
and what it is part of the agreement to marry Yitzhak was that Yitzhak could never dress in drag again. And so that's why you see him longing for like the wigs and stuff.
I'm glad you explained because like I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand if he was trans or we were supposed to just know that that is Miriam playing just a man. Like I wasn't sure. And then I saw the first scene we see him in, he is like adorning these wigs, right?
Hmm.
There's a room full of wigs and there's a longing to it. And I just thought that he was upset that he wasn't getting like the affection and love from his wife,
Yeah.
but I was also confused.
My understanding is just because this musical deals so much with like gender identity and queerness that they always cast a woman in Yitzhak's role, but it is a man
Gotcha.
as the
Okay.
role. Yeah.
I read
Okay.
into it. That's right. Yeah. And what's funny too is I was watching it, and I was like, "Hang on, is that a woman?"
I
I
mean,
mean,
Not
she
great with
did
tone.
not look
No, she didn't.
bad as a man.
Very pretty man that I thought was
Yes.
it
attractive.
was the singing that I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that was the thing that I was like, okay, I can hear it.
Yeah. So lots of resentment from Yitzhak, who is a backup vocalist and I think the guitarist for the band. So they continue to play throughout the finest dining establishments in the Midwest as they stalk Tommy on his tour.
So can I interrupt you real quick?
Sure.
Fun tidbit that you might like. So the dining, it's a chain of restaurants called Bilgewater's, and they are all decorated with scenes of the sinking of the Lusitania. But there is a Titanic connection.
Love it.
Sorry, for those who don't know, I'm obsessed with Titanic. But apparently the original off-Broadway production was started in the ballroom of the hotel that gave shelter to all the original 1912 Titanic survivors.
Oh.
So in that way. But yeah, it's always this restaurant called Bilgewater's, which has like a giant sinking ship in the background.
Because I was like, why they keep going to the same place? Like it
Yeah.
wasn't clicking for me. It wasn't clicking that this was a chain. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So like the IHOP of the Midwest.
Right.
Yeah.
It felt like a grungier Applebee's.
Yes. So Yitzhak, I wonder why Hedwig was Hedwig scared that Yitzhak would upstage her if
I think
he was
so.
in drag? Like,
well, because of what happened to Tommy, I think like she wanted to make sure like everyone performance-wise was like repressed under her. Like she's not going to let anyone shine in any aspect of performance.
yeah, I'm sorry, but Hedwig, because we know her trauma, she's kind of an asshole.
Not wrong.
Yeah. Also, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, tearing up someone's passport is pretty.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of,
That's
and
some trafficking behavior.
Yes.
That's some Diddy behavior right there. But Phyllis, I was glad she stood on business and was like, I'm out this bitch when Hedwig did that.
Yeah.
But then I was confused because the band performed again together. I was like, oh, did we make up? Like, I missed that. Yeah.
There was also a scene, I think it's that one, where they were performing the 6 inches forward, 5 inches back. And if you look in the background, there's Aunt Vula like beating up somebody.
Yeah.
I kind of wish she just had her Greek accent.
Yeah,
I know.
Just keep it all Eastern European.
Also, Jackie, her Hedwig's first husband, I think that's the same guy from Cube.
The angry man?
I think it is.
I'm out of this, motherfuckers. Hold on. Now I have curiosity.
You have to look it up?
Yes.
Well,
my ADHD won't let me leave it alone.
Because I never saw this movie back in the day, I think I've seen John Cameron Mitchell in other things, but the thing that was like seared into my brain was I started watching The Good Fight not too long ago, and my God, he is the worst human on that show. And so I was trying to like keep that separated and not think about him in that way watching this movie, and it was very difficult. But that just isn't a testament to what a good actor he is, because he plays like a far right, horrible racist person on that show, and I'm like, oh.
Which is such a juxtaposition to this role.
Yes, yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
Danielle, you are correct.
Yeah, ding ding ding.
Tim, have you ever seen Cube?
No.
So it is a horror movie. I recommend at least one watch. I think it's very clever.
Yeah.
Low budge, but it's fun, like for a one-time watch.
Make sure you're watching the
traditional spelling Cube, C-U-B.
Yes, yeah, just make sure you're watching the original, because there was like a Netflix version that I heard wasn't great. And there's sequels.
It's from 1997.
Yeah, it's a Canadian.
Yeah.
We do love our horror in this house.
Yes. So as they're touring around, then we get kind of the backstory of Hedwig and Tommy. And Tommy, after Luther left, Hedwig had to provide for herself. And so she became a nanny. And it seemed like Tommy was like one of the kids, or like the oldest of the kids she was nannying.
First and foremost, okay, this scene disturbed me so much because you see Hedwig with a baby,
Mm-hmm.
holding the baby, and then you see Tommy in a bathtub, essentially jerking off with the door wide
Wide
open.
open.
And so you see Hedwig walk by, and then she turns back around and puts the baby on the floor,
Just
steps over the baby to put her hand in said tub and jerk off what I believe is an underage minor. It was wow.
Good Eastern European parenting.
Right. That baby just on the floor
in the bathroom.
in the bathroom, which you know I had lots of thoughts. Yeah.
So Tommy and Hedwig begin this romance, except for Tommy will, like, as Hedwig puts it, like, he never like shows affection to the front of her. It's always from the back or from the side.
I'm confused about that too. So, like, does he not know Hedwig doesn't have breasts?
I'm sure he knows that. I
Because
don't know.
I was just confused why he was confused or surprised when he finally went into Hedwig's pants that there was something there that he didn't expect. Like, but also I know he's a young, naive kid, and I feel like they just made out a lot and didn't really do anything else. And I also think it was unfair for Hedwig to push her trauma onto this kid
Mhm.
that he had the reaction that he had because there was never like a discussion with him about like anything really. I don't know. It didn't seem like there was any kind of conversation.
Yeah, I think it may have been a couple of things. It may have been because Tommy was so sheltered and very religious. Maybe like he could kind of pretend almost that he wasn't with a man, because I feel like Tommy had to know that
I thought so
Hedwig.
too. I thought so too till that scene. And then I was like, what
I think
again?
the inch is just surprising to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Timmy, did I miss context clues?
Whatever, like, I know what you're saying. I was following through the movie, so I'm not sure. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I missed the disconnect there. Again, not great with subtlety.
Because I
But
felt like it talked
hey,
around it.
it's one of these art movies. It's supposed to be weird. Not all the edges are supposed to line up perfectly.
It's a Monet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Hedwig really loved Tommy,
Yes.
and I think she felt a pure rejection of who she is when Tommy ran out
Because it wasn't also it wasn't just physical. It was they were spending all of their time together.
right,
Hedwig was teaching Tommy about the world and about music, and they're writing songs together and doing all of this like really deeply connecting like music and stuff. And then for Tommy to just immediately reject her
right.
was very, very upsetting.
I think it triggered her, and maybe if this wasn't like a huge contentious point for her, she might have had more grace for the fact, like we said, very religious. He's been taught his whole life that homosexuality or anything outside of the norm is wrong. I think he was already conflicted with his feelings. You know, like
Yeah.
there was something in the back of his head. He knew a little bit. Like he wasn't that naive, I don't think, but I think it was just all too much because because even in that scene, he's coming out of the rain to Hedwig's trailer because his father is abusive essentially, and he's going through a lot with his dad. Like one of the first things you hear him say is that his dad gave him a gift of a guitar to say sorry for being an asshole. So like you already see that there's something going on in that relationship as well. Also, I'm just shocked that these conservative ass parents would have someone like Hedwig in the house. But also, I feel like she alluded to maybe might have doing something with the dad. I don't know. Because when she was talking about how she had to get jobs, she did some babysitting and she also did some sex work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wonder if that was a scenario going on as well.
Yeah.
Never got into it, but again, I'm trying to pick up these fucking clues and try to understand.
One of the things I always thought was interesting about the movie is that Hedwig is not a particularly beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Striking. We'll give her that. She's a great entertainer, but is she a classical beauty? No. But also kind of like have always thought that the movie kind of is meant to show like I don't like it's a movie about a person, right? So in real life, the person was probably prettier, was probably more passing, and then in this film, they were making her a little more brusque and a little more rough around the edge. You know, maybe doesn't do the perfect cut crease, and you know, her wardrobe is not as tailored as it could be. Also, every time I've watched this movie, I just find Tommy so deeply unlikable.
Same.
Like I just don't like him, and it it doesn't affect the movie for me. I still love the movie, but I just kind of like almost space out a little bit whenever he's on the screen because I'm just like, this guy, who cares? Shut up.
Right? I'm so like I cannot understand what Hedwig is finding attract again because also he's a child to me. Like I just think he gives off little boy energy like he is not a man. So it's crazy to me that you have Yitzhak who clearly I would go for him in comparison to you pining over this child, which I just think is Hedwig almost being in love with a part of herself, if that makes sense. Like Tommy represents a part of who her inner child may be.
Yeah.
Because I don't get it. Because I don't want to teach my partner everything. That's just me.
But we're old and set in our ways.
Right. All you 34-year-olds who keep messaging me on these dating apps, I'm not interested.
So now we are kind of brought up to speed why Aunt Rula is there. And it's because Tommy goes on to be like this huge rock star. Hedwig has given him his name. He's taken her music, even down to like because he is like conflicted about his religion and his feelings and things like that. She like puts this silver cross across his forehead, which he then takes that into like his
persona.
Persona. And so she's just deeply, deeply hurt and sad. And here she is struggling in the low budge Applebee's, and he's making this rock star money.
Right. Looking like Ash Wednesday turned up. Like what? When I saw that, I was like, are we kidding me? It literally, you know what it reminded me of? The silver streaks on Mariah Carey's arms all throughout glitter.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about the silver streaks that were never explained. It was a choice, man.
We found out later what it meant.
Did we?
Yeah. I'm actually remembering something. The makeup artist, I think, would secretly put it on different parts of her arm or her upper chest to represent her having her independence and freedom that she wasn't having before. I believe that's what we found out in the notes, and we definitely didn't get those context clues in the movie at all. So
nope, there was a disconnect.
Sounds like a really deep masterpiece.
It really is not as bad as some of the other crap we've had to watch.
Okay, fair.
It was I think glitter gets a bad name. Like, it's on the same spectrum of like watching for fun, kind of like Showgirls or whatever.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't that bad.
You were gonna go Crossroads.
Well,
we love Crossroads here.
It's a great movie. My husband, for those of you who don't know, my husband joined them for the Crossroads episode, and he's like a Britney diehard. She's the queen. And he made me watch it. He's like, "You're in for it. I'm gonna make you watch Crossroads." And I watched it. Like, this is charming.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad. Like, again, a lot of hate because it was Britney. I dare say this. I love Beyonce, but I feel like Britney, from an acting perspective, as much as Beyonce has tried to act, I actually think Britney did a much better job. God, it was hard to say it.
I'm proud
Please
of you.
don't kill me. But it's not her ministry, unfortunately. I gotta watch more things that she's in, but so far, can't.
The Fighting Temptations, was that one of them?
Yes, but I don't remember if I watched that. There's the Carmen musical. There's Dreamgirls wasn't bad. Also, because I think it's a departure from her personality, but being able to sing, I think gave her more of a comfort that the character itself was very saccharine, but I don't think she did a horrible job. Now, yeah. Cadillac Records, because I'm such a huge Etta James fan, that one was hard for me.
But what about the masterpiece Austin Powers and Goldfinger?
I need to rewatch it and see how I feel. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Report back.
Yeah.
Recently, and I loved it. I loved her little scene there.
I actually, you know what? In the Pink Panther movie, nothing could save that movie, not even Steve Martin or Beyonce. But it wasn't as, like, I had a fun time with her performance in that. Again, I'm not saying she's horrible.
No.
I'm just saying, like, if I'm comparing the two from a transition from music to acting, I didn't think Britt did. I think Britt did a really good job.
Brittany has the edge.
Yeah, but, you know, she's only done 2 movies and a few Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Glee episodes.
Oh, and the one How I Met Your Mother episode.
Weird.
Will and Grace.
She was on Will and Grace? Yeah. A lot of TV. But, also Jane the Virgin. With all of those, except for How I Met Your Mother, I think she was literally playing herself. So.
Not Will and Grace, she wasn't. She was playing
Will and...
maybe of herself, but I think she was like a politician who was super, super anti-LGBT, but then it turns out she was a lesbian.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that episode. I hate Deborah Messing, so
Why? So do I. She's on my list.
She's definitely on my she was on my list before, but now it's even worse.
So and Yitzhak this whole time is trying to be supportive, but also like resents Hedwig for like suppressing his talents. And it comes to a culmination where Hedwig is just so obsessed with Tommy and that Yitzhak's like, I'm doing something for me. And he goes out and auditions for the role of Angel in Rent and ends up getting it. But he has to go to Guam, which never mind. I don't have a question because I just thought about it. Because I was like, why does he need his passport? But it's because he's not from the United States.
Well, yeah. Also, I guess Guam is a United States territory.
Yeah.
Wasn't it on a cruise ship too?
Was it?
Maybe, but you know what I love is when he saw the sign at the laundromat and how he pulled the the number to call secretly. I that cracks me up every time.
And he did a really smart thing, which he took the whole flyer, so no one else is going to get that phone number for an audition.
Oh, did he? Because I thought he just took the number.
No, he took the whole damn flyer.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a cruise ship though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like I heard something about cruising across the Pacific or something like that, but
That would make
It would make
sense.
sense.
Yeah. But when he told Hedwig, there really isn't much, like Hedwig doesn't even say much or anything at that.
Nope.
But she's been like keeping his passport. Like she's holding on to it, which I'm just like,
She's holding on to everyone's passports.
ah,
She's keeping that band hostage, which I was like you said, Danielle, she's not a very likable person. And so I'm like, why is this band like tolerating all the shit she's doing? But that makes sense. If she has all their passports, what are they going to do?
I think she threatens in before during one of their songs that she's
Yeah.
gonna call not ICE. It couldn't have been ICE, but
immigration.
Immigration.
Yep.
And I'm just like, bitch, what? Wait a minute. They do look miserable. Also, let's not forget there's a baby on tour,
Yeah. That
and
was
they literally play spin the bottle with the baby's bottle. And
No.
every hotel room that Hedwig stays in, because I'm like, oh, are they in the same place? It always looks like Hedwig's apartment full of shit. So I'm like,
Yeah.
every time they're moving, they have to retake all this shit out. Like, this is a lot.
And you know Hedwig's not packing.
No.
It's the rest of the band.
Yeah. Sorry, Hedwig. The trial of popular opinion, you're not doing well.
So this is when Aunt Vula is like, I'm sorry, I'm out. You ripped up his passport. Like, what the fuck? I'm not helping you anymore. And so does Hedwig just decide to go talk to Tommy by himself
No,
or herself?
she goes to go do some sex work.
That's right.
She's out trying to out compete another trans woman, and they're waiting for a rabbi literally pulls up. I thought, or he was a Hasidic Jewish man. I'm not sure
Yeah.
which one it was. And he looks at both of them and keeps going. And then the next car that comes is Tommy's limo. But then I'm confused because they sit in the limo together because she gets in the limo. And then the next scene, we see them both in the front seat of the car. So I guess they kicked out the driver, which now in hindsight got to me.
No. I was just agreeing with you. I noticed that too. That in the next shot,
Yeah.
I think she was driving, but they were in
Yes.
the front two seats. And I think I know exactly what you're going to say. They were getting rid of them just so that they could have private chat and go over kind of the old days.
Yes.
Right. Like you could see the anger bubbling up because they are singing along to obviously the stolen songs that Tommy has made. And then Hedwig says, "You've been singing that line wrong," and has to explain her art to this nimwit. And then he starts like kissing on her and caressing her.
Well, because
And
he
she
tries to gaslight her and is like, no, there's two versions of the song. We wrote two versions of the song. And she's like, bitch, I wrote this song. There are not two
Right.
fucking versions of the song. And so then he like tries to turn it around and be all lovey-dovey with her. And maybe she'll forget that I stole all her music.
Yeah. And she turned like it's like Tommy is a drug that she can't say no to. And she literally, as she's driving, turns to kiss him and they hit, I don't know if it's a bus or a train or something. And I'm like, oh, y'all in trouble now. And then he doubles down because obviously the paparazzi and the tabloids run that, oh, look, they do know each other. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that he wasn't a woman and all this horrible shit. But doesn't stop Hedwig from riding that train all the way to the top with like magazine covers. And I was very confused as to, I guess it's New Year's and they're back at what's the name of the restaurant to me?
Bilgewater.
Yes. They're back there and there's all these random ass people that don't really look like Hedwig fans at all. And I will tell you, from this moment on to the very end, I don't know what the fuck's happening. Is this a pink, like the Frenchie having a daydream kind of thing in Greece? Or is this like really happening? I don't know. You
Maybe
tell
it's like
me.
in Chicago where she's daydreaming about it, but then in the end it really happens.
Yes. Because I think at one point, Hedwig was wearing bubble wrap or saran wrap and ripping it off and starts breaking shit, and people in the crowd look confused. Then she walks through that door because then we learn that one of these places is actually connected or right next to a venue where
Yeah.
Tommy has played. And then next thing, she has taken all of the bubble wrap and the clothes and the tomatoes that were in her bra and crushes them on her. I was like, we making sauce? What's happening? I don't know. And then it felt like somebody else was actually throwing tomatoes at her. And then she walks through this door and she's in leather, like cooter cutters. And Tommy is in a pair of Britney's old, like really low risers.
Yes.
And he's got his Ash Wednesday glitter on. And he's singing Whisper Softly to Hedwig. And I don't know if it was an apology.
Yeah, I don't know.
Y'all were supposed to have the answers. What you mean?
Art movie.
I said, you know what? You don't have to, baby
Well,
girl, you ain't got
because
to know nothing. These
we
two are
also
going to explain something.
we also get Yitzhak gets to live out her drag fantasy and is full glam being like crowd surfing through the crowd.
Right.
And then there's also a scene where everyone's dressed in white. So I'm like, did we die?
It's
Is this
like the
heaven?
Backstreet Boys in that movie.
Oh, this is the end. Yes.
Yeah.
Like we're all just in heaven now, hanging out. Yeah, it was. I'm sure there's symbolism in there. I don't know.
I do feel like from the symbolism part is that Hedwig is finally just accepting Tommy's apology or whatever, or just like healing that part and then going back to the band, and you see Hedwig completely out of drag now.
Yes.
And it's almost in the animation, you see those two holes stitched finally together. So I think it's supposed to symbolize that Hedwig has accepted all of herself completely, all parts, and maybe doesn't even need the drag part, like take it or leave it, but is finally whole because now she's even relinquishing her control over her husband by letting him dress in drag and being himself truly, because she was oppressing him, seeking out the same things that she was, you know.
Maybe it's more like she comes to realize like it mostly wasn't about the music. It was she was still holding this torch for Tommy. And once he like did that press release and was like, no, like I had nothing to do with her, like trying to spin optics, she finally, that was the thing that she needed to be like, oh, he doesn't give a fuck about me.
Right. But if you listen to that song that he's singing, though, and I wonder if that's just like a performance that he's doing, like it sounds like an apology because I feel like at points he's kind of saying sorry that I didn't realize, like that's how I looked at it. So I don't know if he really came out with the song to talk about all the things, or if Hedwig was just like, this is my apologies.
Well,
So I don't know.
He sings the reprise of Wicked Little Town.
Okay.
So, and I think Hedwig wrote that one, and it was about Tommy. And so now he's singing it in the reprise. And then yeah, I think he is showing regret for his actions. But I think Hedwig has gotten to a point where it's just like enough's enough. Like I have to take care of me at this point, and I need to realize that like what hold you had on me is essentially what I'm trying to do to others now.
Yeah.
Whether it was intentional on Tommy's part or not. So once she came to kind of realize that, she was like, oh, I need to like, yeah, just let everyone be free, and then I can be myself, my true self.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of stuff. I really thought y'all were gonna come with some answers, but we're figuring it out together. So that's fine.
We are.
Some more fun facts.
Oh, well, that is
sorry.
Hedwig. You're good. And that is Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And any other additional fun facts?
Mitchell worked on creating the character of Hedwig at Squeezebox, a drag club. When he first got on stage as Hedwig, it was Mitchell's first time doing drag.
That must have been so personal, though. Like, once he was no longer doing Hedwig, like having to pass that on to someone else when you've created this persona,
Right.
you know?
I would love to know how much of his own self is in this character.
I had that thought too. Yeah.
Because it just doesn't feel like something that just sprung up. It felt very personal. Like, this is,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Hedwig's cape in the title sequence, right behind me, mimics the Berlin Wall, complete with Yankees Go Home graffitied on Hedwig's right side and with me on the left.
Okay. Mike Potter, who did Hedwig's hair and makeup for both the stage production and the movie, can be seen in drag in the scene where Tommy picks Hedwig up off the street as the second call girl leaning against the wall. Oh, okay. He was given the drag name Renita Options by John Cameron Mitchell. And another thing that I love about Mike Potter is that he had never done hair and makeup professionally, but definitely on the drag scene. And so it was really cool that they hired him to be a part of the production and the movie with, they could have, said, okay, well, good to know you,
Yeah.
but they let him be a part of it, which is cool. And he did a great job.
Yeah. Mitchell had to shave constantly during the course of the film shoot, often using an electric razor between shots while still in full makeup. He also mentioned on the DVD commentary that Pitt was somewhat uncomfortable with their prolonged kissing scene, complaining about being scratched by Mitchell's stubble. Mitchell mentioned Pitt consuming onion and garlic directly before shooting the scene.
Sounds like just an unpleasant person.
Yeah.
Well, I I saw on Reddit there's like a whole bunch of threads about Michael Pitt and how he has had some hardships and a lot of stuff. I don't know if he's done drugs or something, but I do know, like, I feel like he goes a little method. He's one of those method actors, I think. And I think he's struggled a bit. So I don't know what his dealio is, but he definitely looks like he's been living a hard life lately. Yeah.
If he's method, he should have got up in there.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Facts.
And there were a couple of shots where I'm like, ooh, girl, you're 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
According to the New York Post and Variety, the 44-year-old has been accused of multiple assaults by an ex-girlfriend stemming from 4 incidents taking place between 2020 and 2021. She alleges that Pitt sexually assaulted and attacked her with a cinder block and a wooden plank at the actor's Bushwick, Brooklyn home.
And that was recent, too.
Very.
That kind of thing happens in Bushwick.
Facts. You ain't tell a lie. You ain't tell a lie. The aqua and peach track jacket worn by Hedwig's makeup man, Mike, in the call girl in the alley scene shows up several times throughout the film as an inside joke. Now, I don't recall.
Yeah.
It was a lot to take in, though.
Yeah. It was a visually busy.
Yeah.
It really is.
In the best way possible.
It is, and especially when you have to read the words, because I'm old. Like, I'm like, there's too much to look at, and I'm trying to read the words and see what you're saying, and it's just, I'm going to have to watch it a couple more times to really absorb everything.
In the montage of Hedwig giving Tommy his rock education, Tommy is seen wearing a Hotel Riverview t-shirt. The Hotel Riverview, New York, was the home of the original stage show for several years. That's cool. Like that.
That is really cool. Let's see what else. The story depicted in the song Origin of Love is from Plato's Symposium, and where Aristophanes gives a speech about love being a product of the need to reunite with one's other half after being split into two as punishment for conspiring to usurp the gods of Olympus. I almost had that in one shot, and I was so proud, and then I fucked it up at the end.
Heck is seen wearing a Rent sweatshirt and later decides to audition for the role of Angel in Rent. In real life, John Cameron Mitchell was originally offered the role of Angel, but had to turn it down as he was doing Hedwig.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm actually glad. I really liked the actor who played Angel, so.
Same.
Before it was a film and a musical at the Jane Street Theater, John Cameron Mitchell and Stephen Trask created the character Hedwig. Mitchell donned drag for the first time, speaking in character and telling Hedwig's story between songs written and played by Trask. This was the first drag performance act that had a storyline, live singing, and a live band with original material.
Interesting.
You don't really see many live drag performances because they're mostly terrible singers.
Definitely.
I think the very first drag show I went to, I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And then I was like, wait a minute. They lip singing the whole time? And I was very upset. Like, I was like, I really wanted, I could have done this at home.
I do this at home.
Right. But, it was fun.
Yes.
But I was also like, did not know.
You can't do a death drop. So they got something.
I ain't never tried it, so let's say that you never know. I won't be able to get up. I'll say that. Mitchell said that his performance on The Late Show with David Letterman as Hedwig was interesting because during rehearsal, a disembodied voice emanating from Thank you. That sounds better. A disembodied voice emanating from the control booth gently told me that I couldn't rip my wig off during the song, Tear Me Down. I asked why, but there was only silence from on high. So when we taped, I ripped it off after the song. They edited it out. I think they wanted people to think I was a woman and not a man in drag. So.
Well, I hate that.
I think that also happened on the Rosie O'Donnell show, but I guess I didn't add that fact in here. But they did, it was like a big stink about them performing on the Rosie O'Donnell, and they actually have that clip in the movie.
Yeah.
So thought that was
I did rewatch, so I don't remember what year it's from, but Neil Patrick Harris portrayed Hedwig on Broadway for a bit. And I think it was earlier in 2015. And so he performed Sugar Daddy at the Tonys. And I know he is problematic, but he eats that role. Like, he has so much fun with it. And that performance, I remember watching it live and being like, what is this? Oh, this is Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And I think that's what got me interested in seeing the production on Broadway when I went, because I'm like, I have to see this. Like, Mom watched the movie in the early 2000s and I didn't get on board. Like, I need to get on board now.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, and according to the DVD commentary, most of the lead vocals were recorded live as the scenes were shot to capture the intensity of a live performance. The live recording of Hedwig's Lament is the version on the film's soundtrack, despite most of the songs being studio recorded for the album. That's pretty cool.
that is cool.
I
Very
think,
wicked of them.
yeah, Mitchell said that he didn't want to lip sync, so
Makes
live it
sense.
is.
One thing I picked up on that isn't anywhere in the trivia, because I looked up trivia too, in the Put On My Makeup song, he has this line that suddenly I'm Miss Midwest Midnight Checkout Queen. And I was kind of like, did Chapel Roan almost like, not
Steal
take
her whole thing?
Yeah,
get it
Probably.
by that? Like, it's cute.
Yeah. Well, if you have any opinions or thoughts or questions like we did, make sure to hit us up at No More Late Feeds on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, and Blue Sky. And let's get into present day ratings. And we'll start with you, Timmy.
I think I would still give it 5-day rental. I liked it. I would watch it again for sure, but I'm not going to play it on repeat.
Jackie?
I am the same. I very much enjoyed it. I need to rewatch it a couple more times to fully get everything, but songs were fun. Visually, it's captivating. So definitely a rewatch.
It's gonna be a 2-day for me. It's very sad. I said that
Yes.
already. I might rewatch it like with my sister. I'm not sure she's seen it before, but I definitely this is not even though again, I love a musical. I can't rewatch this over and over again. I feel the same way about Rent sometimes too because
Mhm.
it's fucking sad. So
Definitely.
if I need something to make me feel something, I could put it on, but it's a little much.
I hear ya. Well, if you have any other commentary to add, if you have answers to our questions, please hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653. Twat us at the Twitters, hem us at the Threads, butterfly in the sky at Blue Sky, and you could be featured on a future episode.
And get out your sleeping bags because next week we're celebrating my birthday with the classic, the legend sleepover. I don't want to hear nothing. Look, it's a birthday movie for a reason because it defies all logic. I know that people are probably like, are you fucking kidding me? It's cheesy as all hell, but I love that movie. Damn. So.
The heart wants what it wants.
And I made sure to have a guest that I knew loved the movie because I wanted joy when I talk about this. And I know Jackie's would be like, what the hell?
What
the hell? What the hell?
And Timmy, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure as always. We always have such a great time when you're on. And I like that you reinforce or like supported Danielle's kind of like I don't get metaphors type surface level viewing, which is fine.
I don't either. I get it.
I like a metaphor, but this was a lot to absorb.
This one had layers.
Especially since it's like my first time ever seeing it having zero context. I was like, what's going on? So. But yes, appreciate the support, Tim.
Always my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And as always, be kind and rewind.